guest, Tre Lopushinsky. How's it going this morning, Tre?
It's going pretty good, Dub. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. If you haven't heard this podcast before, it's really about highlighting Indigenous voices in the Northeast and Northeast of BC. You guys have done like 15-ish episodes at this point, something like that?
Yeah, so we started in November 2021, and we're over a year now. I've lost count of how many episodes we've done. It's at that point now.
Yeah.
Like we were even numbering them, and now I just totally lost count. But yeah, we're around 15, 16 episodes for sure.
Yeah, and you've got a brand new one that dropped, I believe, last week, where you talked to Sandra Apsassin, which the episode itself is wonderful, but kind of even the story about you getting to get the episode done is all like everything about this is just great storytelling.
Well, I'm glad that it's like a part of the story and not like overshadowing it, because Sandra Apsassin is wonderful and we had a great conversation. But yeah, it was my first time to Blueberry River First Nation, and I made the horrible mistake of using Google Maps, and I ended up on a logging road. It looked like a logging road for like 3 hours because my vehicle got stuck. So what had happened is I turned down what Google Maps told me. I'm driving. I'm like, this is not a road. There's no one here. Like, I don't see a destination. Like, and then I tried to turn, but it was so icy out I couldn't. So I kept driving. Man, I made it like a couple kilometers down this road. Like, it was far, and it was to the point where there was just like just logs everywhere.
Yeah.
And I tried to turn around, and I got stuck. And my boss had to come and grab me, and it took a couple hours. It wasn't great, and like literally the only person I saw on that road was my boss when he came to pull me out. So it was definitely an experience, and it was a Monday too. So I'm very happy with myself that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna phone Sandra, because I was already like 3 hours late to our meeting. Like, and obviously I let her know what had happened. But she still had time for me after that. So I ended up going to Blueberry and having a wonderful interview with Sandra. And we talked about a variety of things, but basically we focused on, beading and trapping and some stories she had from there, from doing these things. Like she's the elders coordinator at Blueberry River First Nation. Mm-hmm. So, she's doing a lot of this beading and ribbon skirt making with the elders for youth. So these workshops are for youth to come in and learn from the elders and things like that. And
wow.
It's really, really, really interesting. And she's, she works closely with the elders. She's talking with them all the time. She's, she tells a story in the podcast about going trapping with an elder. Like they'll just do that sometimes to continue, practicing that. And it's talking to her about the cultures and traditions and, where we're at now. I think that's a theme we're always talking about with the guests, to see what their thoughts are. But this one, it was very heavily focused on that, just based on, she's in it. She's talking with the elders, plus she's doing these activities such as, trapping and ribbon skirt making and beading and things like that. So it was a very interesting podcast episode for sure.
Absolutely. And I think what's really cool about it is we talked the next day, of course. You relayed your adventures and getting stuck and whatnot. But it sounds like the seeds have already been sown for a future episode, because you were invited to perhaps maybe go trapping in the future, were you not?
Yeah, so Sandra had told me that in the summertime, I think they get cabins near Pink Mountain. I don't know if it's in the summertime or what season it is, but she had told me that they go to cabins in, like I said, near Pink Mountain, and they go trapping for several days. And yeah, she invited me out. I still have to link back up with her to figure out when that is and if it's still a thing. But yeah, the opportunities that have presented themselves through the podcast have been absolutely incredible. Like we've had people offering for us to even just come, ride horses and potentially go hunting and things like that. So it's really interesting, but now need to actually find time to do it.
Make time for all these wonderful activities.
100%.
All right. Well, you can listen to the podcast now anywhere you get your podcast, or check it out over at Energeticcity.ca /before the piece. And this episode is going to be the featured podcast that we play on this Sunday's edition of Energeticcity.ca Presents, which airs on Moose FM this Sunday at 5 p.m. And every Sunday, we feature a new episode of a locally produced podcast, and they're all wonderful, but especially check out this one with Sandra Apsassin. Anything else you want to say there, Trey, before we let you go?
Make sure you're checking out all the podcasts. I mean, we've built a good base right now. You know, Secrets of the North. Before the Peace. I'm sorry, Ted, but I forgot the name of his. Voices of the Peace too. And I have listened to it. I swear, I just forgot the name. But yeah, no, they're wonderful podcasts. So please, just give them a shot. Just give them a shot. If you haven't, please do give them a shot. They're wonderful. Absolutely. And people are putting a lot of work into them.
Mm-hmm. It's Tre Lopushinsky, the host of Before the Peace. Thanks for being here, pal.
Thank you, Dub.
The